searching for the perfect one. Oh really, I need someone. Years have passed, been so cold, life so slow, all alone. But when I saw your face,
movements trying to take Nigerians back to true nature and true religion as practiced by our forefathers, including the forefathers of Africa, where you find references are made to the ancestors of Jesus Christ, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I have a vision for Nigeria. The vision for Nigeria is that of a just and fair society, which is far-fetched from what we can see today. I had earlier done an open letter to Mr. President of the State of the Nation. It is really appalling that in Nigeria today, you cannot sleep with your two eyes closed. I doubt any rational Nigerian that can sleep well as a human being. From the daily politicking, instead of fostering the growth of an egalitarian society, as any other person who travels from Nigeria to other parts of the world, Asia, Europe, Americas and all, would have, you rather have a retrogression. When I say retrogression, I was a youth when Sir Onaka Mbake ruled in Muslim. And as at that time, he put in place a progressive state where all facilities, infrastructures are functional, transport, housing, and all. But instead of these infrastructures growing, we rather have a non-existence of all. We wonder why. On October 12, 1995, the former American ambassador, General Colin Powell, described Nigeria as a place where scam is part of the culture. Of course, in recent times, about 2016 also, the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, referred to Nigeria as fantastically corrupt. And it furthers any rational person who watches the events, Nigeria sliding into a place where you cannot make money, even though genuinely or not, though the common means of wealth now is fraud. You can't make money and you sleep in your house. You are either kidnapped or outrightly you are assassinated and your money taken off you. You go into politics if you have a good head to provide solutions to the Nigerian situation. Instead of people encouraging you, you are rather attacked. One begins to wonder whether we have intelligentsia or not in this country. We have the MBA, we have the ASU, we have other clever Nigerians who have been acclaimed world over to be intelligent. But here, we still find Nigeria grappling with simple antics of leadership. The reason is not far-fetched. Election system. The system of election in Nigeria is that which rather encourages unscrupulous people. A situation where somebody is preparing for election, instead of marshalling out the strategies to correct the anomalies in society or to foster growth of national development, he rather will recruit militia, arm them, and command them to, in fact, collect the ballot boxes which are the routes to the national treasury at all costs, even if it means killing 1,000 people. They don't mind. One now wonders if election is what it's supposed to be or is a criminal action. This calls for a serious question among the intelligentsia of Nigeria. I'm specifically talking about those who have burnt the midnight candle and come out in flying colors. There are millions of Nigerians who are intelligent and should be ashamed of this system where instead of our country progressing, the leaders rather form a cult of capturing the national wealth, putting into their private purses, and then turn governance into the village kind of meeting where illiterates or things like that begin to rule the people. It's like an assertion which Obama made in the past that Nigerian leaders are more or less a conglomeration of village heads. How wouldn't it be when the palm wine tapper, the carpenter, the mechanic, everybody feels himself suitable for leadership? Leadership is not assertion of peerage. Your somebody's mate in the community does not make you to bring up yourself as a leader. And then oftentimes group yourselves into cult groups, carry weapons, sophisticated weapons for that matter, machine guns for that matter, and come out on election day. I feel so concerned because I have children, and whenever I lift up any of my kids, I begin to wonder what future Nigeria holds for these kids. The only economic rule that the present leadership thinks of is taxing people and what do you call just taxation, importation, endless importation. Which economy in the world, when you consider the dignity of peerage, would want to encourage unending importation into the country? How would your GDP grow if you will not have your eye on the exchange rates being dragged down by the forces of demand and supply in your own country? Why would we have a leadership that instead of fostering the national growth, they rather think of themselves endlessly taxing the people? It is unfortunate that we have this kind of leadership. Leadership is not hunting for rabbits or going for, how do you say, village meetings. It requires knowledge. It requires knowledge. And I want to call on Nigerians, especially the intelligent Nigerians, educated Nigerians, to show themselves. How could you have spent so many years in school only to be routed by machine guns, wielded by a gang of, how would you say, fraudsters who intend on carrying ballot boxes in order to capture the national treasury, begin to control the shots and make laws that will govern intelligent children that we have? I feel it's an aberration. I am therefore calling for the real democracy to be practiced in Nigeria. It may not follow the pattern as prescribed by the West. I am suggesting that intelligent Nigerians who know that by encouraging a good banking system, encouraging development banks to operate in Nigeria, insurance and reinsurance to operate in Nigeria, state trading to force down prices of goods and services, But what we have rather is people smoothing the life out of people's businesses. No economy thrives when you break down people's shops, you break down their houses without recourse to government rights and citizens' rights. You force people maybe to patronize one particular individual in any particular trade when there are other millions of people practicing that trade. These things are uneconomic. If you look at them, they would rather encourage inflation in society than cure it. And why do we have such dafts who do not have this knowledge of economics come in only to steal, maim, and kill? That, the Bible makes very, very clear that is the antic of the thief. You don't expect anything better than that. If you have a thief come to visit you, he does not bring you gifts. All he wants is to take what belongs to you. And Nigeria should rise now to the occasion that you go abroad, you have good transport system, good housing system, good infrastructure all over the place. Now, every other person is thinking to be better than the other as a nation, what we call dignity of peerage. But here, what we have is the assertion of peerage. Every Dick and Tom wants to make you feel that, yeah, because he's your mate, he can come into leadership. No, leadership is a specialized field. I therefore want to refer Nigerians now to many other good things you can find abroad and the absence of them in Nigeria. Let us, as a matter of urgency, think of recruiting people, because recruitment in management is the very first step to achieving success in any management system, in any organization. If you don't recruit good heads, you are just playing around the bush. Now, my suggestion is this. Let every leader that is what he sought be selected by his own people. At the world level, let people offer themselves, maybe at their community field. Option A4 is adopted. Let the villagers themselves choose by option A4 who their leaders should be. It could be 10 from each ward that will now proceed from the village level or town level to the government level, local government area level, where this same 10 who now have been nominated by or elected by their village people will address the nation, address their communities at their local government level as to how best they feel they can run the economy of that local government. From there, a local government chairman is selected. Then from among these local government chairmen that are selected in this state, they will now hold the same plebiscite at the state level. Each of them will come address the state, which can now show on national TV. And the brightest of all will be chosen as the head of that state. That means the governor. Then from among these 36 governors so elected, there shall be another plebiscite at the national level, out of which the president emerges. A president that will come out of sheer merit and not any manipulations or political considerations. I have a strong feeling that when you talk about marginalization, you talk about restructuring, you talk about this or that, within the Nigeria structure, you can never achieve any restructuring that can beat this particular one. Because power is now emanating from the people themselves. The same people selected by the people are to be held responsible by the same people for their infrastructure, for their water, for their electricity, for the development of their community. I do not know any other restructuring that can best suit Nigeria. So we are calling for a mass movement to stop political party system in Nigeria, political party election system, which is killing the nation, taking us back to a savage state, where maybe before you will lay down with your wife, you will have to pay whoever the governor is. Today they are recruiting militia in the name of vigilante because they could not get state police. Of course, you know the implication of granting the unscrupulous people such power to have power to police the state themselves. So Nigerians, I want you to wake up. The Nigerian youth, I want you to wake up. Grab the power yourself. This is a very peaceful means of grabbing power, and grabbing power by intelligent and worthy people to rule us. Otherwise, we shall end up living in fear. We shall end up dying. We shall end up living as slaves to the few criminal gangs who want to control everybody by force. Thank you.